Alright, ladies and gents, we're back at it on our 98 Ford Expedition. This is my wife's daily driver, and she had some shaking. The check engine light was flashing. She was able to limp it home without hopefully any damage, to the catalytic converter. And pulled the codes, and we have a P0308, a Misfire, and cylinder number 8. And on these Ford, a lot of the Fords, but these 4.6 or 5.4 Tritons, this is obviously a V8, but the firing, the cylinder identification is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then on the driver's side, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I lucked out that this is my problem cylinder. This isn't too bad to get to. You get the plastic out of your way, the PCB stuff kind of lined out. And what I've already done here is I've removed the air cleaner assembly. Obviously I removed the little top. I swung the power steering reservoir out of the way. I unplugged the vacuum lines, got those swung out of the way, all the harnesses, and I believe the evap line going to the intake, and then last but not least the brake booster. All that stuff is just kind of, you could work through it, but it's just a lot easier. And if I end up doing all the plugs and wires, I will probably remove this power steering bracket too. A lot of times those bottom bolts are rusted and you can't move it, so, but it just makes it easier to get, to all the stuff. And then of course this one's old enough. 98 still has the spark plug wires, so I don't have the coilover. I don't have anything to do with that. I did check the plug back here at the number 8 fuel injector, and it seemed to be tight. That's something that could happen. Basically just unplugs the injector, you suddenly have a big misfire because there's no fuel. I'm hoping to find a really worn out spark plug. The plugs and wires have been on this vehicle for quite some time, and it's actually been on my list. One of the plugged wires here showing a little bit of wear. It's not even through the rubber, but it's been kind of catching on this little plastic piece for the wiring harness, which I should probably, if I do end up doing them, get those away from there. But basically just got down to it. I pulled the wire out. It looks okay. Of course, you want to look for cracks or little white marks where the voltage has been arcing through to the block. This one actually looks pretty decent. I think actually last time I did these, well, I can't remember. I don't think I've ever done the wires because they look really good. Whoever did them last, they're perfectly routed. So they may be original. There's a possibility they're original. But I know I did the plugs, I believe, in 2016. So it's been 5 years, so we'll see how that goes. While I'm in here, I don't think I will, but these thermostat housings and below, this one isn't too bad, honestly. But I do have a little bit, let's see if I can get it on film here, a little bit of residue starting to show up down there. That is the lower thermostat to lower intake, I think. Possibly it's just the lower intake to, actually I think it is, but yeah, it's the lower, or the actual intake to cylinder head. So I'll have to watch that. That might be a future coolant leak. Did a coolant flush on this thing a while back. Coolant's still looking really good, although it is low. But still, we got all the contamination out of there. A while back, I had an oil getting into the coolant lines. As you can see, all this oil now. What I actually have now, what I did have, and it's getting worse, is I have an oil leak where the cylinder head meets the block, and that is it's been leaking for a while. It's not the valve covers, because I've been able to look above it. It's nice and dry. I'll double check that because it's obviously most likely from valve covers, which that's what I might actually do. That actually might be. Every time I've looked at it, it's so hard to see. It seems like it's been coming from the head, but it makes more sense for it to be the valve cover. Throttle body is looking pretty good. I'll probably clean that up just a little bit while I'm in here. This thing probably needs a fuel injection cleaning service. and I'm glad to dive into this ignition system. So anyways, I'll stop blabbing. I'm gonna pull this spark plug, and got an assorted mix of attachments and angle guy. This kind of weird spot, but let's get her done. I just want to mention before I forget, before I went in there, I just took my air hose with a little kind of a smaller attachment and blew that very important to do this. I blew out the hole, and I'm telling you what, almost a tablespoon of dirt and debris came out. So that all would have gone into your cylinder. So be very careful before you remove the plugs. Make sure you blow some air in there, because if you don't, all that crap is going to get into your cylinders and mix with the threads, and you're going to have big issues. So be careful on that. All right, y'all, I got the plug out. It did have fuel on it, so I was pretty confident that I at least don't have a major fuel issue. I don't know if you can see, but the electrode of the center part has a slope going off to the left. It's a little bit melted. The gap is still correct. I did clean it up. There was quite a bit of corrosion there, so I think actually that's the issue. But I'm kind of thinking to myself, you know, before I pulled it apart, what I should have done, because I haven't really been in the diagnostic mode. Before I pulled it apart, I should have, I don't know if I have one anymore. Basically, a spark plug tester, an on vehicle weight. I could use this with it. Basically, this wouldn't work. I would have to have a boot style spark plug tester. Basically, go in. Oh, crap. I used to have one. I think it broke. I need to get a new one. Basically, just remove the plug while everything's still, you know, ready to start. Put your tester in between the wire and the plug. That way, which the issue I have is I actually don't know if I'm getting spark to the plug, which I think I am, because all these wires share a coil in a sense. So typically in this sort of setup, if it's a coil issue, you'll have maybe multiple misfires. I don't know about that for sure. And it could be just this wire, but it looks okay. And I could check the continuity and actually make sure that it actually has good, you know, it's a good wire. It looks good. I'm thinking I just had a spark plug that is kind of laying down. So I think what I'll do, I'm gonna go get a set of 8 spark plugs and new wires, and maybe just put a new plug in first with the old wire, and then hook everything up so I can start it, because this thing does have an active misfire. You can feel it, and that's what I want to do. I don't know if I'm just gonna go ahead and replace all the plugs and wires. I'll probably just get the parts. And I don't like there's auto light plugs in there either. I'm gonna get from Motocraft. Probably not a big deal, but I mean, they've worked for the past 5 years. But basically, make sure I'm finishing my diagnosis before we just replace the plugs and wires, and then I get everything back together, start it, still misfiring. So I kind of jumped the gun pulling the plug, but we're gonna get the parts we need. Kind of go with our gut instinct on this one, and praying that it's not a mechanical issue, meaning a burnt valve or something to that effect, to where I'm not getting good compression anymore. At that point, I would do a compression test, and of course, I'm hoping that that's not the case. This engine's relatively strong, at least in my opinion. So it's been, I mean, this thing's in great shape still. So. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna get some parts, and then we're gonna continue our diagnosis with the new spark plug. I could put this back in, honestly, and I probably should. I got the, let me see if I can. I got the face of that pretty clean. It had a lot of corrosion on it, but who knows? We shall see. Let's figure this darn thing out. Alright, y'all, I got a new spark plug. I actually already checked the gap and put number 8 back in there, but just wanted to show you the difference in the plugs. I remeasured this one after I cleaned it, and it was about 60 thousandths over gap. Not 60, 6 thousandths, I don't know. it was definitely not. Let's take a look here at the new one. Let me zoom in. As you can see, sorry guys, I'm trying to figure out which finger is which here. There we go. A little bit of a shadow. So you see that gap there, and then, you know, it's not that far out, but as you can see, this plug is just really worn looking, so I'm hoping that it just was a fouled plug or something like that. I do have the multimeter hooked up to the number 8 spark plug wire, and I don't have the right record, I don't have the right information on this thing, so through a conglomerate of internet searching, I've basically surmised that per 12 inches of spark plug wire on this model should be 7,000 ohms. We're at 10,000 ohms, and I would say this, you know, this is probably a foot and a half or so of wire. So the wire looks good. At first I couldn't get a reading out of it, but I finally did. So I'm confident that the wire's good. Semi-confident of the coil. If I hook this up and I still have a misfire, I'll check the coil output. And if I can determine that I'm getting good spark, which I may even take the plug out and hook it up like the old classic method just to get a visual, which I don't want to have to do, but hopefully this is the fix. If not, again, we've got a fuel issue or a mechanical issue. So I'm gonna go ahead and hook all the hoses up, get the air cleaner back on just so I can start it, and then hopefully we will have a misfire that is fixed. All right guys, I've got it started up in drive. It's definitely not misfiring as far as physically. So I think I just had a bad plug. I did find out that the spark plugs on this model, yeah, it feels really good. Let me just power brake it really quick. This is something you can do as well to really check for a misfire. Hold the brakes, apply some throttle. You can check to see if it misfires under a load, which it didn't. So we're gonna shut her down and we're gonna go ahead and replace all the spark plugs. And I was gonna say about the wires, the one tested out good. Things are they're not that expensive, but the cheapest set is like 60 bucks my cost, which I've got a little bit of a deal, up to like 90 bucks. And I think this is my evap. Yeah, my purge solenoid, that's probably gonna go out at some point. Oh, that's the EGR. I don't know what that is. Anyway, because I have this thing over here. This is connected to the evap. That's the vent solenoid. I don't know. Who knows? I think this is the EGR transducer. I've forgotten all my terms. It's been a while. I just trace where these go. Yeah, this is the EGR. This is EGR related. Anyway, so the wires seem to be doing good. It's a lot of labor, a lot of parts that I don't need to throw at this thing. Number one, I'm getting Motorcraft plugs back in it, which is always good. That look a little nicer than these ever did. And I'm sure they're all getting a little worn out. And so as my camera gets slowly into focus, we're gonna do plugs. Probably gonna throw an air filter at it. It's getting, I do see plenty of light through it, but it's starting to get a little bit dirty. Might as well keep things fresh, and it's probably due for another fuel filter. Probably do that as well. Just doing a little tune up on the old Expedition. I think it's been 2 years since we've done the fuel filter, and honestly, it doesn't get driven that much. Probably don't need to do the fuel filter, honestly, but maybe I will. Who knows? All right, guys, I'm gonna slowly work my way. I'm gonna get things back apart so I could change all the plugs in this side, and then I'll move over and do all these plugs. Any questions at all? And you know, if it's still missed, again, I would do what I did. I would test my coil output, and then if I have a good ignition system, And I might even pull that plug and ground it on the block and actually physically see the spark, which you don't really have to do as long as you verify you're getting voltage everywhere. But, you know, it could be an injector unplugged. It could be an injector clogged. An injector just completely has failed, which is, those things aren't quite as common. Or again, I've seen some threads where you suddenly have a burned valve because the engine's, you know, maybe it's been running lean for a long time and you suddenly burnt a valve. So now you have a mechanical compression issue, which is causing the misfire, which obviously is a bigger thing. I do think I'm going to take a closer look at these valve cover gaskets. What I didn't show you guys before was the O-rings on my oil filter adapter are leaking. Whoops, which is so bright, can't even see anything. In those things, I literally had to match them up, so I don't know. I'll just watch the leak. It's just basically an annoying leak. I probably just maybe need to get higher quality O-rings or some sort of, I can't remember how many parts were available for this. It's obviously getting really old. 1998, what is this thing, 23 years old, going on 24. And she's still running strong. Over and out. I will probably film a conclusion, but I think we fixed our problem. Felt smoother than a fresh picked apple in Washington. Anyway, and again, these are cheaper plugs that are really old. And again, this one was kind of rounded and melted. Some burnt spots there on this side. So, all right, good luck, y'all. Over and out for now. All right, y'all. This is a brand new plug at approximately the right gap. This one, of course, these shadows aren't helping here. Yeah, the shadow sucks. Here. This was the number 8 plug, and 6, 7, and 5 looked even worse. Look at that one. Look at that. It was like 85 thousandths gap with a huge corrosion where the thing has been. Oh man, guys. So we've got some bad spark plugs. Thank you, Lord, for an easy fix. We're going to go ahead and get these thrown into this side, and then we will get to the other side and expect an increase in runnability and a little bit of power and awesome stuff. Glad for a quick fix this time, and this probably had something to do with, you know, spark plugs don't cause a lot of other issues, but they can, as they wear, they can add to other issues. And we've had a lot of you know, pinging, etc., unless we use high octane fuel. So it's almost like with this high gap, the spark comes just a microsecond too late because that voltage has to jump a further gap. And so we're looking at a lot of late combustion, which is terrible. And so we're hoping to get some better runnability and drivability on a old 98 Ford Expedition. All right, y'all, I got the plugs in. I wiped down the boots of the original spark plugs. I unfortunately don't have any dielectric grease, at least that I'm not able to locate. So what I'm gonna do, excuse me guys, oof, just took a drink of some soda, some brown cola. We're gonna go ahead and use this, a very light amount on the connection side, just enough to kind of coat, really not much at all. What I'm mainly looking at is running some silicone around these rings, because this is sort of a seal from moisture / dust. It's not gonna do, this isn't a big deal at all. This is like top 5-10% of service, but these are designed to keep dust and debris, and as you saw, there's a ton of dust and debris. So we're going to introduce some silicone to help catch and hold all that, because it can be irritants to the boot. This is highly unlikely because it's not against the wall of the head. I'm getting a little detailed, but it also aids in them being pulled out the next time. So anyway, silicone can be used for more than one option. Anyways, shout out to, what's that one? Oh my goodness, this went bad really quick. So this side's basically done. I'm not gonna put all the hoses, etc. back together. I might, but once I get the plug boots back in, I will move over to this side. And the first thing I'm going to see is that my coolant hoses are kind of up in the way, but we're going to get the PCV hose out of the way, and I think that's all we're going to be able to do. We're going to blow the air out of the channel. We're going to remove, we'll probably do one at a time maybe. Just remove the boot, blow it out, remove the plug, replace it. Number 4 is going to be a bear, since it's way back there. But all right, y'all, continuing on, I just wanted to add that in because, again, this stuff will aid in getting the boots pulled out. It will aid in moisture. It will seal off moisture from getting into that area. Just overall, again, like between 0 and 5% addition to your service. It's high-end stuff, y'all. Here we go. Let's do it. And again, we need to get the throttle body cleaned out. I see a little bit of this. Maybe we'll treat that before it gets bigger. And other than that, this thing's gonna be ready for winter Ford Expo. All right, y'all, we got the driver's side basically back together besides getting all the hoses hooked up. What I did is I found a series of 8mm bolts, 2 on this this piece here, 2 on this piece, and then 1 on a ground cable, and all those being removed, shifting everything out. I got a nice little channel to work with. I'm not going to remove these heater hoses because that'll make a mess. So I'm going to go number 1, 2, 3, 4. Just do it one at a time. I'll just reach my number 4 will be interesting, but next step here is to again spray a bunch of air, get all the dust and debris out, and again I think I'm going to do one at a time so I don't have everything open all at once. A lot of dust can get into whatnot, so we're going to do one at a time, work our way through. I'm probably going to finish the rest of this tomorrow. I might do one of these tonight, just depending on how I'm feeling. I need to go inside and get a couple other things done, and I got plenty of time tomorrow to do this. But again, thankful as we've transitioned to the passenger side, and we're going to dive in. We've got our stuff moved away. Interesting fact, every single bolt that I found and moved to on the little transfer block here, the starter solenoid looks like, or something like that. It's some sort of solenoid. It's not a starter solenoid. Who knows? No idea. The big junction block and that ground, all 8mm bolts. I believe this was designed to be able to remove these to slide this apparatus out of the way. Did not know that before. Kind of a cool little discovery. Good old Triton engineering. 4.6, 98. Holla. All right, y'all, got number 1, 2, 3, and 4 right behind that injector cleared out. I decided to do them all at once because getting the wires out of the way made it easier to access just everything. So I'm gonna I did an initial air, squirt, get everything out, pulled the boots, did a very comprehensive squirting of all the tubes, get all the dust, all the debris out. So now I'm ready to just basically replace one spark plug at a time, and I'm going to do that again. Who knows, probably do 1 or 2 of them tonight. I might go crazy, get them all done. and it's getting kind of late, so but this project is going well. As you can see, moving this this guy about what, a couple inches, just enough, helped out to create this little channel, this little spark plug channel. That's going to be great. This one's going to be interesting, but we'll get some attachments and we'll just be reaching down in there. There you can barely see it. There you go. There you go. There's the spark plug hole right back there. You want to be careful rotating these fuel injectors. I moved a couple already, but if you pull them, it's not like you don't want to disturb these old O-rings, so you might awaken a fuel leak if you're not careful. So, all right, let's get her done. All right, y'all, I got the passenger side apart. Of course, the number 4 cylinder, the furthest back there, was actually the toughest to get out, and it actually was the best looking. So this is originally what this plug is supposed to look like, and probably the worst one on the driver's side. So I think it was running lean for a while. Maybe I burnt up those electrodes when it was running lean. It had the lean code. But I want to watch my fuel trims, etc., because this side is noticeably in better shape than the driver's side. So that might be a clue. Might be running leaner on this side. Some reason, causing hotter combustion temps, burning stuff up. I don't know, but I do know this thing is going to be running like a champ once we get everything going. So next step is get this stuff reinstalled, get kind of the battery back hooked up. I'm gonna tape a couple of wires where it's rubbing a little bit. Of course, get all this put back together. Should be done here in the next 20-30 minutes, and then hopefully is this thing going to be good to go. I will probably, like I said, wipe that out. Just might as well, just kind of a quick wipe, and then kind of wipe the terminals. But I need to get some battery cleaner. Of course, you can use Coca-Cola and I think baking soda and water. I don't know though. It's just something I've done that's sort of worked. So my voice is kind of leaving me a little bit, but it's Sunday night and we gonna get this thing right. Let's do it. Expo. All right, y'all, we got our cable work back together. Went ahead and cleaned these terminals up, just wire brush and rinsed it with water. And it's always good to have wonderfully connected connections. I am noticing that both these straps, or whatever you call it, are starting to get eaten up, and so I'll have to be replacing those at some point. And keep that in mind. That would be a future no start, future whatever. So something to look for. And we're gonna continue on. We're gonna get the battery hooked back up, get the driver's side going, and the next time you see this thing, it's gonna be running. And I probably have added 30 horsepower, no, maybe not 30, but like a ton of horsepower. And I still want to keep an eye on this driver's side. Yes, you. Because yeah, I'm very surprised that all the driver's side plugs are so much more torched up. So we'll see. And thankful for an easy fix this time. Lord willing, and the creek don't rise as I get it back started. Alright, y'all, I got this thing running. Of course, I had the battery unhooked, so I've effectively cleared the codes. Feels good. It's warming up. I do have a belt noise. I think you can hear it. Possibly a pulley, but this belt I think is I don't know. It always does this when it warms up. I don't know what it is. Put the cover back on. This is the Mighty 4.6. And good luck on your Misfire. If you have any questions, hit me up. And get her done.